There's so many people nowadays that think that carbs are making them fat. And it's like, really? Carbs are making you fat? It's not the fact that you're fucking addicted to sugar, perhaps. Yeah, sugar might be a carb, sure. And carbs generally are less filling than fat and protein. But it's not the carbs that are making you fat. You can eat even 40-50% of your calories from carbs, and as long as you're eating actually healthy and actual good food that isn't poisoning you and that isn't super addictive, then there's no way you're gonna be fat. Not even overweight. I mean, if you choose the right carbs, obviously there's not many of them. I mean, there's a decent amount. Fruit, for example, is an amazing source of carbs. And you guys might say that, yeah, but why keep them in the diet in the first place if they're less filling? But you have to think about it in a different way, because carbs really do provide quite a lot for you. Although obviously they're not as important as fat or protein, because you can't survive without those two, but they are extremely important, especially if you want to build muscle, for example. Because if you're, let's say you're on a ketogenic diet, for example, if you're doing that and you're eating zero carbs or very little carbs, what's gonna happen is your glycogen stores are gonna deplete, and your body, when you're working out or doing some kind of difficult exercise or something like that, something very difficult, running, sprinting, even cycling at higher speeds with more effort, you're gonna burn mostly glycogen or mostly carbs. And if you don't have the glycogen in your body, the reason your body doesn't run completely on fat is because fat burns slowly and it requires oxygen to burn. And when you're running, for example, you don't have enough oxygen and you need more energy, you don't have the time. The fat burning is slow. It's not fast enough to give you enough energy to keep running, for example. So you're gonna need glycogen, or you're gonna need carbohydrates. You're gonna need energy. So what your body does is, yeah, it burns fat partially as much as it can, but what it's gonna do is it's gonna burn protein. Protein is its least efficient and least preferred type of fuel. And so when you burn protein, you're eating your muscles. You're quite literally, if you don't have enough protein in your blood, which you don't, then you're gonna burn that, and then you're gonna start burning your own muscle. So it's kind of stupid, for example, to be working out on a ketogenic diet because you're burning your muscle to build muscle, right? So that doesn't really make much sense, to be honest. It really doesn't. Obviously, I think you have muscle memory, so once you finish working out, you're gonna be able to build that back up, but it does definitely damage your progress in the gym. Okay, next thing is you won't have enough energy in the gym. That's one thing. And another thing is insulin. When you're on a ketogenic diet, your insulin is pretty much stable the entire time. Maybe it goes up a little bit when you eat protein, or just eat a meal in general. Doesn't really require any insulin to metabolize that, so you don't have much insulin in your body throughout the day. And so basically what that means is your insulin, if you guys didn't know, insulin is a anabolic hormone. There's two things here. There's anabolic, there's catabolic. Catabolic means it breaks down muscle, it breaks down tissue to create energy and to create movement, for example. So something like stress, cortisol, is catabolic. So it breaks down tissue to give you energy to be able to perform tasks under stress. So something like running away from a predator, for example, or whatever the fuck. In the modern world, we are way more stressed than we should be, so that's fucking up our progress in the gym as well. But and then there's insulin, for example, or testosterone, which are anabolic hormones, which means they build tissue, they build muscle. And so when you have high amounts, well, not high amounts, but when you get a insulin spike because your blood sugar, blood glucose went up, then what happens is you get more insulin, and it gives you this anabolic muscle protective effect where your muscles won't burn away at all, and you will build muscle, especially if you trained before and your muscles are in a state of repair. Then you will build more muscle and quicker, and more energy will be sent to the muscles because you just gained energy, you just gained glucose, which goes straight to your muscles. So the ketogenic diet isn't very optimal, not for muscle building, and generally in life you won't have enough energy. You're gonna be burning your own muscle for fuel, which I do not recommend. That just sounds like a bad idea. As hunter-gatherers, we ate mostly fat and protein. I do agree with that. But the reason I advocate for an animal-based diet is because, yeah, sure, like we eat mostly that, but we did also eat fruit and maybe some roots and something like carrots or potatoes. We ate that. Those were our less preferred foods, but we did eat them. So also we did eat honey, and quite a lot of it. So there's another source of sugar and glucose and fructose. So we did definitely eat all three macronutrients, and I think it is definitely optimal to do all three. And when you're on a diet, you do want to lower the carbs a bit, but you don't have to, do anything crazy. You don't have to lower them at all. What I recommend is a split of about 45% fat of your calories, 30%, let's say, protein, maybe 25% is even enough, and then the rest can be carbs. So you can have, let's say, 30%, maybe 35% from carbs. 25% should be enough. So in case you do need more protein, you can definitely replace the carbs. They're not that essential still, but you still want to keep your glycogen stores quite full, even when you are on a diet, because when you're trying to lose weight. Because if your body needs glucose, well, it's gonna burn muscle if it doesn't have glycogen in your muscle, stored in your muscles, right? But if you do have that glycogen, then your body won't burn the muscle away, and you don't want that. You don't want to be a skinny twig. You don't want to lose like 2 kilos of muscle during your cut. You don't want to do that, because you're just not gonna make nearly as much progress losing the same amount of weight, and you're gonna look worse in general. So you don't want to lose fat, you don't want to lose muscle, and you want to lose fat only. Obviously you are gonna lose glycogen when on a cut. It's inevitable. Can't really do anything about that. To some extent you will lose glycogen, and to a pretty large extent. So you wanna do mostly something like I'm doing right now, walking, some light cycling, something like this. You don't want to work out too hard, just enough to keep the muscle that you have. You're not trying to grow when you're on a cut. So either way, you're stressing your body out when you're in a calorie deficit. So I do not recommend trying to work out like crazy or anything like that. Your body already is focused on losing weight, on breaking down fat, on just keeping you alive, kind of. It's already pretty stressed from what you're doing, to some extent at least. If you're eating completely healthy, then I don't think it's that stressed. but to some extent it does create stress, obviously. It's just the state you're in. So, but if you're eating enough minerals and vitamins and enough fat and protein and carbs, obviously help to keep your cortisol lowered, then you're gonna be pretty fine. Anyway, boys, that's gonna be it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, hopefully you guys learned something, and I'll see you guys in the next one.